Welcome to the I Hate Critics Movie Review Podcast. I'm professional film critic Sean Patrick. With me is Jeff.
Season's greetings.
And you can find us on various different social media platforms, including Blue Sky. We love Blue Sky. Big fan. I love seeing that place grow. It's a really great place to be on social media. If you're not on Blue Sky, I highly recommend.
Agreed. I really like it.
Of course, we're I Hate Critics on just about all those various different places. Our YouTube channel as well. And of course, we've got the 94 podcast up there on the YouTube, as well as on the podcast feed, talking about Interview with the Vampire and Junior, the living nightmare that is Arnold Schwarzenegger giving birth. Yeah, Amy is not over that one. She is not. The sight of that baby with Arnold Schwarzenegger's face is going to live in her mind for years.
I don't think I've seen that one since it came out.
Count yourself lucky. Why anybody thought that was a good idea, I don't know.
It is funny though that's the movie that you guys did when it was featured in one of the movies we're going to talk about tonight.
Isn't that weird? I was like, why Junior? Why is that here? But then I got a lot of questions like that about that movie, but we'll get to that. Got to cover some movie news first. And the first thing I want to mention is, of course, there's one new movie, or two new movies, I guess, coming out this Friday, but one of which has been one that has been long anticipated and now could be one of the biggest debacles of the year. Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter is supposed to come out this week. It will come out this week, but it is the end of Sony's attempt at having their own Marvel universe. They announced it today that they're not going to try and make any more of these Spider-Man spin-offs. They're done with it. They're not going to try anymore. Venom is over. So yeah, and Kraven already is looking bad. It is heading towards potentially a $15 million opening weekend, which is certainly not anywhere near what they want.
Well, I'm not surprised. I once again saw the stupid trailer today when I went to see Y2K, and the people who incessantly talked through Y2K were sitting in front of me and screamed at the screen how much they were looking forward to it. And I'm like, if those are the people that are looking forward to it, I hope it tanks.
Aaron Taylor Johnson and all 14 of his abs are just going to have to settle for this loss. He's having a rough year.
Unless he's doing full frontal like he did in A Million Little Pieces, I'm not interested.
I mean, he's in Nosferatu, which we'll get to at the end of the year, but I didn't love that movie. I'm so sad. I'm so sad about it. I won't. My review is out. You can read it, but we're not going to get into it until Jeff sees it. So,
yeah, I don't read your reviews until after I've seen the movie because I don't want to make me.
Oh, maybe you'll like it. Maybe we'll get lucky and you'll enjoy it.
I hope so.
But do you have any fond memories of Madam Web or the Venom movies or?
I liked the first Venom a lot, not thinking I would.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, I don't remember anything about it, honestly, except Woody Harrelson was in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a goddamn thing about it. And the third one, my thoughts, we just talked about a couple weeks ago on that. That was a hot fucking mess. And I'm glad that they're not going to do anymore.
Yeah. I gotta say, I do love Morbius. Ironically,
okay.
It's the culture surrounding Morbius is the best thing about Morbius. There's a great video on YouTube. This guy Eddie Burback, who's one of the best guys on YouTube, he went to see Morbius 5 days in a row for one of his videos, and it is hysterical. It is just absolutely one of the funniest things on YouTube. I cannot recommend it enough. And of course, the Madam Web memes about her mom and spiders, and just those were beautiful. Those are really just the only good things to ever come out of this whole side Marvel universe. Like, just Sony just could not have botched this any worse.
I mean, there is a world where Marvel did these movies as side projects,
mm-hmm.
As like kind of one-offs, where they got to use all the lore and different characters, and Spider-Man actually showed up in one of his fucking villain movies. That might have like inspired me to enjoy them. But God, Sony was just like, oh, we've got this character and we've got this money and we're going to make a lot of money off of it. And let's do the villains. Let's do his rogues gallery, and ends up just like botching every single one every single time.
And it also just, I mean, the entire time it just seemed to come off as a bit petty. Like it came off as a company that was just trying to, we don't want you guys to have this, so we're going to keep it and do this with it. And it's like, that's just a terrible way to approach, making anything, is just out of spite. Their Marvel universe out of spite.
Well, that's the whole Roger Corman Fantastic Four. That was just to keep the rights. They weren't ever going to release it. Thank God.
Yeah, but that did Corman, I mean, at least that's his reputation.
Yeah.
Like, he was not out of character. Not that it's out of character for Sony to be evil, but or any corporation to be evil for that matter, but it's a bad optic in this case for Sony. And I think it cast a shadow over just everything they did that wasn't a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, just... well, rest in peace. Peace.
We'll see. We'll give them a proper funeral when Kraven the Hunter comes out this weekend. Did you see the trailer for 28 Years Later?
I have not seen it yet. I saw that it was out just as I was getting ready tonight, but I haven't had a chance to watch it.
I have not watched it either, but I was kind of like, I don't really want any more 28 movies. I've the other two that were, I admire them, but I'm not a big zombie movie guy to begin with. But I gotta say, reading about this, seeing Ralph Fiennes is in this cast and Aaron Taylor Johnson as well, but it was fascinating. But there is this thing now, and nobody knows if it's true or not, but there was rumors going around. And by the way, this is Alex Garland and the original director both returning.
Oh wow!
Yeah. As writer and director, so they're both back, and Danny Boyle, they're both back. So that does lend this a good deal of interest and legitimacy. But there's also a rumor that Cillian Murphy was reprising his role from the first film.
Well, I was hoping that both him and Sandra Bullock would be in this one, because I just don't understand why we have 28 days later. And there's no mention of her character from 28 Days.
Boo!
It would be hilarious though if she did a cameo in this one.
But here's the thing: Cillian Murphy's not in the cast list. He is an executive producer, but he's not in the cast list, right? And there's nothing of seeing Cillian Murphy in the trailer as you would recognize Cillian Murphy. But, and this is very intriguing, there is a zombie that looks suspiciously like what his character would look like as a 28-year zombie.
Oh no.
And I gotta say, that's kind of interesting. I'm kind of here for that.
Well, I don't know if I would want him to be dead, because,
It's true to this universe, though. I mean, the way that first movie ended, like, come on, they didn't survive that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, do whatever works, and it would be kind of cool to see him return somehow.
I'm kind of here for that. I'm kind of fascinated to see how they pull that off, and kind of interested in seeing 28 years later. This new badass Ralph Fiennes as well. This new thing that he's doing where he's like a super badass is kind of interesting. It's an interesting late career turn.
It would be fun if like he played one of his earlier characters in this universe, like he could play the Cardinal from Conclave.
You're creating your own universe. Is this how you're dealing with the loss of the Sony Marvel universe? Is you're inventing your own universe now?
Clearly. Clearly that's what's happening.
You have to cope, right? I understand.
Yes, it's copium.
Some bad news. They're making another Meet the Parents movie.
Oh God.
Why? Just why? Now, I guess we're gonna have Ben Stiller's kids meeting him as the parents now.
Unless there is a scene where Ben Stiller actually milks Robert De Niro, I don't want to do it.
This concept was tired the last time they did it. It's dead now.
Agreed.
And I think you dreamed up this one. Jeremy Allen White is joining the cast of The Mandalorian and Grogu.
God.
He's going to be playing Jabba the Hutt's son.
Oh, that's right. Stinky from the Clone Wars.
Stinky.
That's what the Clone Wars movie was 3 episodes smashed together, 3 or 4 episodes smashed together. And one of them was rescuing Jabba's son, who Ahsoka called Stinky. So if he is not called Stinky by Rosario Dawson in this movie, I'm going to be violently ill.
What was the name of his son other than Stinky? Did he have another name?
Rota.
Yeah, that's who he's playing. That's who he's playing, is Rota. Yeah.
Shit. Holy shit.
But I had an immediate nightmare, and it's your fault, of instead of him looking like Jabba the Hutt, he's just your sexy Jar Jar picture. but with Jeremy Allen White's body from the Iron Claw.
Oh my God.
I blame you for that visual.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Okay. This gets into my biggest problem my biggest argument on social media about the Star Wars universe is that it is so small because everything that Dave Filoni does has to somehow has to tie in characters from the Clone Wars. And I love Star Wars, but I'm kind of getting tired of just live action Rebels and Clone Wars. If you're not going to if you're just backdooring them into another show, that's what I have a problem with. I don't mind if he wants to do live action Rebels, live action Clone Wars. I'm all for it. You can bring back Hayden Christensen like they did in Ahsoka, and they can do a whole thing. However, the fact that every season of The Mandalorian now is a different story from a different Clone Wars character, and now apparently this is going to be too. So,
yeah,
I don't know quite how I feel about all this.
I'm pretty far removed from the Star Wars universe, so
I know. Not me.
Still right in the middle of it, huh?
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine why.
I know, right? Although that getting to that though, that is one of the reasons that I do like Blue Sky, because all the neckbeards, it proves my point that all the people who hate Star Wars and Disney Star Wars especially now, that are saying it's too woke and everything, are all super far right-wing trolls because they have stayed on X and have, for the most part, not come over to Blue Sky. If they do, everybody blocks them. That's kind of like the ethos of Blue Sky is, if you see a troll, block a troll.
Yeah. It's nice. So, it's very peaceful over there.
Mm-hmm. I find
really
myself
lovely.
actually talking about Star Wars like I didn't for a long time on social media. So.
Well, you can't on X because people will just launch into a tirade.
So, okay, Stinky's coming to live action. Awesome.
They better call him Stinky or else.
If that's the thing. He better be Stinky.
You'll become a right-wing.
Oh, apparently I already am. But... Anyway.
Let's talk about the new movies this week, or one new movie this week, because there is only one new movie this week, and it's called Y2K. It's a disaster film directed by Kyle Mooney, famous for his work on SNL. and starring Jaden Martell and Rachel Ziegler. This is a movie set on December 31st, 1999. And of course, both you and I were both alive for Y2K and the run up and the insanity. You know, we had doomsday preppers buying all the toilet paper back then. I mean, this is not a new thing. This was happening back then. And most people were rational about it. You know, it's not going to happen. You know, it's just gonna flip over. Everything will be fine, and everything was fine. But this movie posits an alternative universe where not only did Y2K hit, but then it somehow possessed anything with a computer chip and turned it into a Terminator-like monster, which is a clever idea. And some of this movie is quite clever. I enjoyed some of the things that took place in this movie, and I didn't enjoy other aspects of this movie. Mostly, I was just annoyed that like they created the best character in the movie, Julian Dennison from Deadpool 2, and then just got rid of him like way too quick. Like that guy was stealing the entire movie, and I'm like, get rid of that guy. He's too interesting.
So that brings up one of my points about this movie is one of the things I respected about it was that nobody really had plot armor except for two characters.
True.
So
at the same time, don't make the most interesting guy the first one you kill.
True.
You kill him if you want, fine. But, you know, find a way, like, turn him into a monster and bring him back or something. Like, the robots can bring back the dead as a new robot. And then you have set up a great scene where Jaden Martell and him have to confront each other and he wins him back over as a robot zombie. Like, that'd been a clever idea. They don't do that in this movie.
Yeah.
They are putting computer chips in people's heads. I don't know what the purpose of that is or what the long-term effect is. Tim Heidecker and Alicia Silverstone as his parents end up with that, but they're not dead, so I don't know. This is one of those movies, though, that its sense of humor can grow tiresome. There's a cameo by Fred Durst, and there's this tiresome joke in the movie that they continuously refer to him as Fred Durst, like his full name. They keep saying, "Look, Fred Durst. Fred Durst, Fred Durst, please help us." And it's like, oh my God, you know, that joke's funny the first time. It might be a little funny the second time. Then you stop. You stop right there, and that's enough. He's part of the group now. Continuously going back to that is just, it's tired, and it's been done. I think it was the entirety of the humor of like movies like This Is the End. Like they did that's that person, and you say their full name, and you continuously say their full name because you can't believe they're here. Like, just don't. That got tiresome very fast. I thought the usage of Fred Durst was good. I thought it was funny. It was a tad bit reverential, considering he's not exactly the most beloved figure in history, but I get it. It was very funny in some parts, but overall, I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. I like Jaden Martell. I thought he and Rachel Ziegler were fine, but I didn't quite love this movie the way I wanted to, and in the end, I come away a little bit disappointed. But what do you think?
It was uneven.
Mm-hmm.
There were parts of it I liked, parts of it I didn't like. Honestly, Kyle Mooney he made me want to scratch my eyes out after a little while.
Yeah, he's also in the movie. He's playing a stoner character, and he's playing it it's a very very broad, very typical caricature of a 90s hippie character.
Yeah, and it was just so rote, you know. He was just playing a caricature, not a character. And I think, you know, because of his time on SNL, I think that's kind of, you know, where that came from.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was the one thing that really bugged me all the way through the movie until, stuff happens. And I was, like you said, you know, when like right at the beginning, you lose the most interesting character, you know, Danny just, it added some gravitas to Jaden Martell's performance.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I would have liked to have seen him. I mean, he's a big dude, so maybe maybe his fat protected him. I always hope, like, if I ever get stabbed, that my fat will protect me. But I kind of kept wondering if he would pop up at the later on in the movie, but
no, they just, there's a poignant moment, I guess, where they refer to him, but they're only referring to the fact that he's dead. And, by that point, he's long missed because the movie the movie cannot return to the heights of comedy that he was delivering.
Right.
And I know it's got to get a little more serious because there is a dangerous situation unfolding, but you've promised us a lot of comedy, and now and you've just gotten rid of your best comedic character. That's not a combination that's going to end up well.
Right.
But I do have a nitpick with this and it may be actually the thing that, and I'm being overly pedantic here. I understand that, but there's a song in this movie that is prominently featured, the Thong Song by Cisco. It didn't come out. It didn't hit radio until February of 2000. So there's no way that anyone knows all the words, let alone an entire party full of people knows the entire words to the Thong Song.
I mean, it was California. They're so much further ahead of us.
No, I refuse. February of 2000 is when it hit radio for the first time. I am a radio professional. I know these things. I'm well versed in that shitty song, and it did not come out until February. It didn't really impact until maybe early March. So this idea that it was out in 1999 and anybody knew it, no, not having it. Took me out of the movie.
Yeah, I didn't. I knew for a fact that some of the music in it was later, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to try to get past that.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, there's also a gag where kids are doing the Macarena, and it's like, kids were not still doing the Macarena. Macarena was 3 years ago. There's no way that children are still doing it.
Yeah. No, oh, you mean the two Asian kids? That was not they were doing Tai Chi.
They were doing the Macarena. They were clearly doing the Macarena. Said in your version, this is just it would just be racist.
Not necessarily. I don't think people doing Tai Chi is racist.
Asian people doing Tai Chi is kind of on the nose. I'm saying.
But, I mean, if we're like, how many black people are doing Tai Chi in a movie? I don't know.
There were 3 Asian people.
Well, see, what I thought was funny is because Tai Chi is supposed to give you, bring you peace and whatever. And then the little girl, like, as they're doing it, she looks at those two and just like does the loser thing on her forehead. That's what I thought was the funny part. Because they were, like communing and all of a sudden she's calling them a loser. So.
Yeah. No, it was the Macarena. Terrible reference.
Okay.
Terrible reference at the time. Let's see. So, do you recommend this movie?
It's certainly streamable. It's nothing I would, because this is the busy time of year for me, I was like, okay, I'm glad there's only one movie this week.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have to see it for the show, it's not something I would have gone to the theater to see.
Yeah.
And it was fine. And I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm glad it was short. I'm glad it wasn't like a long, drawn out kind of, let's milk this for all it's worth. They got in, got out, and I think that helped it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cast was really good. Jaden Martell and Rachel Ziegler had a lot of chemistry. Lachlan Watson, she was really good in it. I thought, she had that kind of gravitas. That's not even the right word, but that kind of, she had that world weariness, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
going into it. Like you knew she had a lot of stuff going on in her head. I thought
Yeah.
she was really good. Yeah, I mean it's fine, but I wouldn't. It's not something I would have paid to see if I didn't have to. For
It's a movie that doesn't. I don't think it holds up well to much scrutiny, and especially in a year when we've seen so many great horror movies, it certainly pales in comparison to the genre. But also, like they just didn't create the correct perception going into it. Is this? I know it's supposed to be, I guess, a horror comedy, but it doesn't really. It doesn't really meld the horror and the comedy together well.
Yeah,
outside of Julian Dennis's
not enough
performance.
horror and not enough comedy.
Yeah. I think Kyle Mooney thought that he was going to be the comedic part of the movie, and he was not.
Oh, he was the one where I was just like, oh my God, just let the robots get him, please, please. And I honestly thought they were going to like make him the hero in one scene, and I was just like, please don't do that. And then he wasn't. So
yeah, no, I think at the very least, I think he knew his place where his role ends is he. I think that's exactly what he was building to for his character.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I liked it. I mean, there were legit parts where I laughed out loud, like when Fred Durst comes in. I went in blind as I could, and I was like, oh, and I saw him in the credits. I'm like, wait a minute. When he's like, were you followed? And I'm like, oh my God, that's Fred Durst, isn't it? And I thought that was funny, but like it did, that whole calling him Fred Durst, that did wear thin, like you said. I did like how he won the crowd over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's not a universally loved person. And I think that especially now, there's the Limp Bizkit heads and whatever, but at the time, I think more people would have been into him. And the fact that they were like giving him a hard time and calling him a loser and all that, I think him winning them over, I thought was fun.
That was a solid piece from him. A solid, piece of deprecative humor. To understand he seems to understand his place in the culture, which is good. At the same time, he also does demand respect, maybe more respect than he deserves. But I did appreciate the needle drop on break stuff. I thought that was a good needle drop.
Yeah. Yeah.
This isn't a bad movie. It's not a movie that's going to stick with me. And especially in a year like this, when we've got so much good horror, this is not going to be a movie I remember very much longer.
Yeah, it's not going to make my top 10. It's not going to make my bottom 10. It's there. And it's a fun movie. You don't have to really think about it too much, but yeah, it's fine. It's again, it's a good watch it on streaming or on TV or something.
Something's rubbing on your microphone.
Oh, sorry. How's that?
That's better. All right. So in honor of Y2K, we're going to go back to just before Y2K in the setting of this film by talking about a pair of classics from 1999. And we're going to start by talking about Doug Liman's Go, which with an all-star cast telling a story about one night in Los Angeles that goes kind of crazy. A group of characters working in a supermarket, each having their own sort of unique adventure over a period of a single night. We've got just an incredible cast with Katie Holmes and Sarah Polley, just fantastically leading the way. But I mean, everybody in this movie is fantastic. We've got Taye Diggs. We've got just so many people in the Breckin Meyer. I mean, I keep thinking of them and they just keep occurring to me, and I'm just reminded of what they were doing in the movie. But I really enjoyed just every aspect of this movie. It's it's episodic, but the episodes are really well woven together. I liked how every story seemed to merge at a certain point, and it merged in a way that didn't feel unreal. It didn't feel too forced. I just so much. This is so much fun, and Desmond Askew as Simon, absolutely crushing it. So it's like the super grim version of that one Love Actually subplot with the English guy coming to America. I thought that was great. And surprisingly, Jay Moore and Scott Wolf really standing out as well as a pair of movie stars who are working for a cop played by William Fichtner.
Yeah, this was an obvious, I don't want to say ripoff, but homage to Pulp Fiction and that type of that kind of movie from the 90s that was very episodic, but all the stories are interwoven. And this is the first time I'd ever seen it. I did not see it back then. The best parts for me, and this is pretty much any movie she's in, are the parts with Sarah Polley. I love her just in about anything she does. She really carried the movie, and when she wasn't there, I missed her.
Okay.
I like the fact that she thought she was so street smart, but she, not necessarily. Jay Moore and Scott Wolf, that whole scene where they go to Fichtner's house and they're both trying to get seduced, and they're just like, what? No. Just not quite able to articulate what's going on to the other one. And neither one knows that the other spouse is trying to get on them.
Yeah.
That really I really enjoyed that, and the revelation that they're gay and they're a couple.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I did not see that coming at all.
But Katie Holmes said it like as a joke earlier in the film, which is such a great bit. She's like, she looks at it and goes, "Oh man, it's too bad they're gay."
Yeah, but I just thought that was something that her character would have just said.
Yeah.
But then later on, you're like, oh, okay.
No, she's just really perceptive.
Just like every, but Timothy Oliphant,
mm-hmm.
I just thought he's got that suspicion, but not the meanness of a drug dealer in a Hollywood movie, but that healthy amount of suspicion is what I liked about his character. Doug Lyman it's like he's like, I saw Pulp Fiction and I want to make that kind of movie, but I want to do it with younger, hipper people.
Mm-hmm.
And I really connected with it in a way that I don't think I would have if I watched it contemporaneously.
I liked it when it came out. I was a big fan of when it came out, but 1999 is one of the greatest years in movie history. I mean, there are just an unending number of masterpieces that came out in 1999 and The Phantom Menace. And
which I was just watching on bootleg VHS for months and months. So,
but so this one faded in comparison to things like The Talented Mr. Ripley and several other incredible films from that year. But it's always one that's kind of lingered in the back of my mind, and I'd loved getting the chance to see it again. And just the idea that William Fichtner thought he could fool anybody into thinking he's not a cop. He's just he is the most cop you could see in a movie. And it's great. It's a function of his character, though. That's the thing. It's like, it's a total function of the character. He's just incapable of actually being undercover.
Yeah, William Fichtner is he's either a dirtbag or a cop. And, or both at the same time, depending on, what movie he's in. But he plays those two really, really well.
He's just fully nude in one scene, and it's just hysterical.
Yeah, I was like, oh, please don't turn around. Please don't turn around.
I did not need to see Little Willie. No. Thankfully, we don't. Thankfully, we do not see that. But the chemistry between him and Jay Moore and Scott Wolf and Jane Krakowski, the sales pitch that they put on, just so fucking funny. That was just there's such great energy between the four of them, and is so tense. That scene is so tense, but intense in a way that's just uncomfortable politeness.
Yeah. When you don't want to be somewhere, but you don't know how to get out of it, what do you do?
The fact that it's another great revelation. Again, this movie's 25 years old, so if you've got a problem with spoilers, go watch the movie and come back. But there's the fact that they ended up being that they were sleeping with the same guy at their job was just a terrific idea.
Yeah. When they went to the club, and I was just like, okay, let's see. What are they going to do now?
What'd you think of the Melissa McCarthy cameo?
I was like, wait a minute. I did not know anything about Melissa McCarthy until Bridesmaids, because I never watched Gilmore Girls. Most of the stuff that she was in, I don't think I ever watched, and if I did, I just didn't recognize her.
Uh-huh.
I was like, when they opened the door, I was like, oh wait, oh my God, that's Melissa McCarthy. And she's like young and peppy. And so, yeah, I was like, all right, I'm digging this. I want her to like be in more stuff. I think that was only like her first like movie.
And she was so good in that scene that she's actually featured in the trailer.
Yeah. But yeah, I love Melissa McCarthy in almost everything she does, and it was so refreshing to see her. So
yeah, wonderful energy. You almost just want her to join the movie. It's so late in the film, right, that it's not would not be possible for that to happen in a good way. But yeah, you kind of wanted her to, just because she is just such a star when she steps into the scene and just gives it just the perfect amount of energy.
It's like if they had been like, oh, we got to go pick up my cousin Sandra, and before they went to the gay bar, they took her to the gay bar, and she was like a fruit fly the whole night. That would have been funny. She'd been like one of the guys' cousins that they took with.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a favorite plot that you were following?
Like I said, the Sarah Paul fetus. I mean, it was what I thought the movie would be all about.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they switched gears, I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, bring Sarah Polly back. I know that, her thing is quote unquote over, but this like, I want more Sarah Polly. I always want more Sarah Polly. But then when I realized that everything was kind of interspersed, I was like, oh, okay, I'm good with that.
And her fate plays out very smartly, because if they'd ended it with her in a ditch, that was not going to work out as well. It would not be as good a movie if they went ahead with that. But what they did with it was very smart and very funny. The scene with Jay Moore and Scott Wolf helping her out of that ditch is a very funny scene.
Yeah. Oh my God, is she dead?
Very good stuff. They're just all good stuff. The Vegas subplot was fun. I think seeing Desmond. Oh God, what's his name? I got it here. It's Desmond Askew. Simon, just this agent of chaos. Just everything they tell him not to do, he does. Mm-hmm. It's just so great. He was phenomenal. And of course, the way where his character ends up at the end is a very funny moment. I liked him from moment one.
This is gonna seems weird to say, but this is probably gonna go into my Christmas movie rotation every year. So
very good. Yeah, it's deserving of that. This movie deserves another look for anybody who hasn't watched it in a while. If you've never seen it, it's absolutely worth checking out, because it's a very funny movie.
Agreed.
I think it gets lost kind of in the fact that 1999 again is arguably the greatest movie year ever. If you pull up a list of movies from 1999, you're just going to find a series of incredible films. which is our next and final movie of the show, Summer of Sam from 1999, directed by Spike Lee. This is arguably the best movie released in 1999. The film follows a series of characters in New York City in 1978 as the 77 as the Son of Sam killer is enacting his plot, and this is about how all of New York City was dealing with that, whether it was accusing people of being the Son of Sam, or just being suspicious around the neighborhood. And then there's, interpersonal relationships that are being affected by the situation. And it just seems like the entire place is being affected. And then, of course, you've got this heat wave that's going on, and you've got the Yankees on their way to the World Series. You've got all these things swirling about. The punk scene is woven in here, and kind of lower level mafia, where the mafia was in the late 70s, which was not a good place. Like, just so many little aspects kicked into this story, and incredibly brought together by Spike Lee. His style is so built for this. Everybody assumes that he has to have just characters from a black perspective, and here he's just showing he can work any story and be brilliant at it, because he's a great technician and stylist and storyteller. And especially what he does with Adrian Brody's character, and the way that weaves throughout the story and comes back and is very important near the end. I just was in love with that sequence with him, playing air guitar, listening to The Who, as the music of The Who, by the way, just incredibly. I mean, there's so many amazing needle drops in this. Dancing Queen, which is a song that's got, definitely overused, but in 1999, it wasn't as badly overused. And when you see the way that Spike uses it, and the needle drop on that is fucking perfect. You've got Plato's Retreat is another reference in this that pops up that is just exciting and weird and strange and uncomfortable and just so great. Everything that Spike puts into this. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of the movies that I feel like changed my life when it came to, trying to watch and understand movies. And I was just so excited to watch it again.
One of the things that I really love, especially about Spike Lee, is that he directs women so well that, I mean, my standout for this movie is Mira Sorvino's character. How she's, she likes being arm candy, and then she does that little turn where she wants to be taken seriously. And John Leguizamo is just a scuzzball. In the whole, like he plays that so well, which is, you think he's, like if you looked at him and Adrian Brody standing next to each other in this movie, you would think that Adrian Brody, being the punk, is going to be the scuzzball, and John Leguizamo is going to be the, the nice, upstanding guy. And Spike Lee does that so well, where he's able to kind of turn your expectations around.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about the character of Vinny is kind of the perfect reflection of most people. Like here he has a surface appearance of being this man who's in love with his wife and is responsible in building a family and has is an upstanding member of his neighborhood. But the reality is that he cheats on his wife constantly, and he's got a whole bunch of secret lives going on that he doesn't want people to know about. And that Spike is so great about pulling apart people's facades, like he did in 25th Hour, and just all of his movies. He's got a element of taking apart pieces of culture. Jungle Fever, which you can't even watch anymore, is a movie that pulls apart racism in such a way that it's fascinating. It's raw. It can be hard to watch, and it's a shame that more people can't see that movie anymore.
Yeah. I like the way he directs. And again, especially the way he directs women. Do you remember Girl 6?
Oh yeah.
I watched that because Madonna was in it, of course. And she has never ever looked better in anything than she did in that movie. B, you're getting a performance out of her that is unlike anything she's really done since Desperately Seeking Susan. And he just knows exactly how to pitch to people's strengths.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's, that's what he does with, I mean, everybody in the cast, from Adrian Brody to like Patty LuPone, BB Newirth, everybody is perfectly cast.
He doesn't waste a scene. Like, there's a great scene with the two cops talking to the mafia guy in a restaurant, and I mean, that scene is so incredibly well acted. Anthony LaPaglia in that scene. I mean, just Ben Gazzara. Oh my gosh, that scene is incredible, and it doesn't involve really any of our main characters, and yet it is so central to the story and so essential in that moment, and everybody is delivering in that moment.
Yeah. It's like you said, this really is one of those movies that kind of defines the year that it came out.
Uh-huh.
I think it redefined Spike Lee as a director. I actually, this was years ago. I had a conversation with somebody and they said, what's your favorite Spike Lee movie? And I said, Summer of Sam. And they're like, he didn't direct that. I'm like, he did. And they said, this was a guy, well, he only directs black movies. And I was like, first of all, that is completely wrong. He does talk about the black experience a lot, but he definitely did Summer of Sam. And there's not a lead actor in that movie that is black. I dare you to watch it and tell me that he only knows how to direct black people. And about, I don't know, like a month later, this kid came back to me. He was like, I watched that movie. It was fucking dope. You're right. He's a really good director. I'm like, yeah, okay, shut up. Don't ever talk to me again.
Yeah, now go watch Inside Man. And yeah, Spike does not. I feel like people are sleeping on him still. I mean, everything. I've liked everything that he's done, and I've always kind of gone in with a bit of trepidation, like, where because I'm white. Am I gonna like? Is this about how horrible white people are? Like, how uncomfortable am I going to be? And I always come away learning something every single time.
Yeah, I remember watching School Days in college, She's Got to Have It in college, and then immediately going out and seeing School Days, and then renting everything because stuff didn't come here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it wasn't until like Do the Right Thing that we actually got to see Spike in our area.
Yeah. So,
and that was only because Siskel and Ebert absolutely loved it, which is how I came to know who Spike was, obviously. And then, him and he did a lot for himself working with Michael Jordan on Nike commercials that did a lot to, make people aware of him as well. But certainly I think Siskel and Ebert, the way that they talked about Do the Right Thing when it came out, that was a huge, huge influence.
Yeah. I think this is one of his best movies. Just because he captured what it was like at the time for everything to be like at a fever pitch in New York City.
Yeah. It feels like you're in the midst of that. It feels like you can feel the heat of it, like the oppressive heat, the sweat of it. And then his use of music, like I said, is just, it's top of the line. I mean, the man knows his way around a needle drop. He's just one of the best there is at that. He seems to do it in every movie, and it's just about perfect. There's a scene where I think Mira Sorvino leaves John Leguizamo outside, and she drives away, leaves him there. That there's an amazing needle drop in that moment that is escaping me, but it's just one of the most perfect ones I've ever seen in a movie. Just his timing is so precise. It's phenomenal. Another great thing about this movie too is that it's only like on Rotten Tomatoes that gets to only like a 60% positive, which makes me happy because it means that it divides people and it's probably making just the right people angry.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, it's before review bombing was really a thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, the right people probably don't like this movie. And good, we don't need you.
yeah.
Yeah, I adore this film. If I've not made that clear, this movie is just one of my all time favorites. I think I ranked it. Either it was one or it might have been tied for first place of all the movies in 1999, alongside I think it was Talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
It's just the two movies that made me become who I am today.
Oh God, we have to blame them.
All right, we've got to come up with a show for next week. Because what are we gonna? I mean, Kraven the Hunter is going to bomb, and we can't spend an hour talking about it. There's one other reason why Kraven is likely to bomb this weekend, and that is because there is another movie coming out. Though I'm not sure if you're going to be interested in seeing it or not.
Probably not. What is it?
Lord of the Rings.
Nope.
Rohirrim. No.
Nope.
I was thinking we could do a whole, Lord of the Rings episode, like,
Well, first of all, I don't have the time to watch all those fucking movies. Second of all, I've only watched the first half of the first one of those movies in the theater, and that's because I ended up getting a blowjob in the middle of it. Was not interested in the rest of it. After that,
well,
maybe the cover share, but hey, It was an empty theater, like a Tuesday afternoon, an empty theater. So
what are you gonna do?
Get a blowjob. I guess I'll see Kraven if I can sneak in. I'm just kidding. I'll see it. Yeah, I mean, we could actually talk about the movie Blood Rage, which you seem to keep putting off. We also, I did sit down with for an interview with Lynn Griffin, star of the original Best Black Christmas. We'll be getting that out before the holidays. We've also we'll have a Friday the 13th commentary up on our Patreon this Friday. For Friday the 13th. We're going to do Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which is my personal favorite of the Friday the 13th movies. I love them all. Don't get me wrong. I have my favorite parts of each one, but this is kind of the best directed, the best, the most promising cast, the better acting for if you can call it that, and Crispin Glover. So if you're a member of our Patreon, you can hear that on Friday. If you're not, you should be. And it's like, what, $5 a month? And you got every Friday the 13th, you get a new extra podcast. So
exactly. Yeah. We've got the previous one that was up on Patreon that'll move out to the regular feed.
And I think what I might do is Lynn and I had a very long, friendly conversation because we are friends. And I might just end up doing the whole interview out on our whole conversation on the Patreon for anybody who's interested in listening to us talk about our wonderful personal lives. And she does talk about her husband, Sean Sullivan, who she thinks we can get on the show, is in the Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein movie that's coming out with Mia Goth.
Oh, wow.
And she does tell a little story about sitting at a table with Mia Goth, Oscar Isaac, and Guillermo del Toro. So people might want to hear that.
Very
so it'll
cool.
be we'll release that on our Patreon once I learn how to edit shit. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up, I think, and I encourage you to join the Patreon. $5 a month. Come on. That's like less than an iced chai at Starbucks.
That's right.
Which is what, $6 now, which is why I don't go. That and I don't want to be in a diabetic coma. But yeah, I guess we'll think of something for next week if we, want to watch Kraven the Hunter with. I just have no desire, and
there is also the Angelina Jolie's new movie is on Netflix starting tomorrow as we're recording this, so Wednesday. It's a biography of Maria Callas.
Huh. Well, I could come back to my sister's and watch that. I don't have Netflix because I just can't. I just can't. So
I've seen it, and it's a Pablo Larraín movie. That's for sure.
I don't know what that means.
The director of Jackie and the director of the Diana biopic with Kristen Stewart. And
Oh, I liked that one a lot. So okay. He just does. He only does.
apparently apparently you have to have a vague relation to the Kennedy family somehow. And
Well, I mean, I guess we're gonna get a Cheryl Hines biography
oh God.
here someday by oh Lord.
Let's talk about the brainworm that she married.
Oh God, no! Please don't. We could, you know what we could do, since it is the Christmas season, we could make our classic the 2006 Black Christmas. I don't. We think we've talked about that one.
I believe we did.
Oh, did you? Well, I wasn't on the show. So.
I thought we did. I thought you and I talked about it, actually.
No, I don't. I don't remember what I talked about last week. Are you kidding me?
I believe we talked about it on our Black Christmas episode.
I thought we talked about that because I thought we talked about the newest one that shouldn't have been a Black Christmas movie. But anyway, we'll think of something.
Yeah,
we'll entertain you next week.
Come up with some kind of show, whatever. Just check me out again on all of our socials on Blue Sky. You can find. I do have my review of Nosferatu is up. It doesn't come out till Christmas. The Fire Within, also coming out at Christmas, is already up. Baby Girl. Nicole Kidman's new movie, that review is already up as well. We got the Critics' Choice. I had to fill up my Critics' Choice ballot today and submit it. And yes, The Substance was at the top of my nomination ballot. And Justice Smith and I saw the TV Glow were both at the near the top of my nomination ballot. I was proud to cast votes for them. Maxine, I'm going to be the only person who has Maxine on their list. That's fine. I'll die on that hill. It's fine. And yes, I'm going to have my review of The Brutalist coming up soon as well, which is the right now, if you're watching the Oscar watch, it's basically coming down to Anora and The Brutalist as the two movies that are coming away with the most critics awards right now, and likely competing with Wicked for Best Picture.
Huh. This is going to be a tough year for Best Picture for me. So, I mean, I have my two choices that are going to.
Wait, something's competing with Maxine?
The Substance.
Oh, right. I thought you'd already decided on Maxine.
No, I said I keep going back and forth, and what's going to happen is I'm going to have to watch them back to back. I've seen Maxine like 4 times since it came out on home video. So, but I haven't watched The Substance again because every time I tried to go, there's something was happening. So,
well, the Substance is out there. It's on Movie, I believe, which is a terrific streaming site. If you want to get your hands on that, it's great for obscure movie lovers. But it's also available on most streaming rental services as well, and it's amazing. And I'll never watch it again. All right, Jeff. Thanks.
Have a good one.